You're absolutely right. TikTok works at the speed of sound. The United States government, the bureaucracy that exists, whether there is a different president, senator, or whatever, they operate in what feels like laziness. I always say this, and people think, well, they're hardworking. This doesn't really apply. It does. They expect for things to work in the way that they have planned for them to work and how they have always worked. TikTok threw a wrench in that, and it did it before they even had time to react. And so they ended up starting to make statements about that China is shoving propaganda at Americans when what's happening is that we're all seeing, like we all saw what was going on in North Carolina. Typically, we'll have to watch the news, read an article, go on Facebook, which is a hyper-controlled, super negative environment, which I don't even try to lurk on there. Instagram is the same way. It's why Meta products suck. Stupendously suck, because it's nothing but a propaganda platform. So why even go on there? I mean, that's why we saw stupid things like Haitians eat people's cats and dogs, and that kind of stuff in that environment seems like truth because it's being peddled on there. It's been peddled on there. I've done videos on what Russia did. And what's crazy though is that the United States was not stopping it. You see what it wasn't until the attack was on, the attack, what they're calling it, was not on Americans, but upon the Israelis and the propaganda that they've been feeding people for decades. And it wasn't until then that the United States government, which is controlled by them in to a large degree, in multiple ways, okay, because that's an oversimplification, but in multiple ways, is controlled by them. And it wasn't until that, because it wasn't what Russia was doing on Facebook that even had made them have a reaction. It was like an after the fact reaction. And even after that was shown to have occurred, because depending on who you ask, if you're talking to a Republican, it's fake news. They still haven't done basic legislation like Europe has done. Europe has been attacking this problem and what we've seen as far as foreign governments interfering in elections, getting hold of people's personal identifiable information. They've actually done common sense things, like in the West, in Europe. But the United States yet didn't do anything until Israelis' propaganda machine got interrupted with actual facts and truth. So, I'm going to end the TikTok here, but I think people need to understand that. They also need to go and watch the hearings in which the United States is arguing some dark dystopian stuff. They're not even good at it. I shouldn't even say that based on what I know. But they're not even making like good arguments. Just people need to go and watch the hearings. But it's sick and it's dark, because if you aren't paying attention, you're about to look up and they're going to be arguing a way that the First Amendment actually even applies to what's going on. And they're trying to, it's a really weak smoke screen of an argument that they're making. And it's several arguments. I hate to be so reductive, but it's grotesque and it's un-American. And Americans need to pay attention to this, because America's being terraformed. And that Supreme Court has been tailor-made to do that. Y'all thought Roe getting overturned was something. Y'all about to see something with that First Amendment. And maybe they will. I'm not even going to make a prediction on that one. You need to pay attention.